Our weather is getting busy, and this means threats like severe storms to accumulating snow are on the way, along with some wild temperature swings in between. Welcome back to another weather update, guys. I'm meteorologist Tucker Antico, and we have a lot to get to in this video, including storms, snow, and just this overall hyperactive weather pattern that's unfolding in the waning days of January and into the start of February. Quick note, if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe as we keep you up to date with the best weather information. And without further ado, let's jump into the forecast and cover everything ahead. Let's start with a look at the jet stream, because everything that goes on in our weather generally starts above our head. So to put together a good forecast, we're looking at the big picture, and there are two things that stand out here. One, we got this bowling ball, as we call it in the West, that closed off low, and that is a huge player in our weather this week, the main player, in fact. But right now, before it gets too busy, it is bringing some much-needed rain to portions of California that need it. Also, we have this zonal flow. See how the jet stream is very flat out east? That's keeping the weather quiet and near average, at least for now. That's not going to last long, but it will keep the 27th and 28th, Monday and Tuesday, on the quiet end of things. We'll move this forward a little bit, and we're going to see our jet stream really evolve fast. And you can see that bowling ball beginning to eject, as we say, out of the southwest U.S. Here's where it gets interesting as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. This closed-off low-pressure system migrates into the New Mexico and Texas area, and you can see the jet now cutting around it and northwards. That is actually going to bring the potential not just for some snow, but even severe weather to the south-central U.S. Also, if we look farther towards the northeast, that zonal flow is gone, and we now have a huge dip in the jet stream, which will bring chances for snow and some really bitter cold once again. So that's a look as we're getting into the middle of the week. I'll also give you a sneak peek at the weekend here. We're going to take a look at what goes on at the surface as well. You're going to see that closed off low. It begins to merge out here with our polar jet, and that brings the potential for some winter storm activity in the east, which we're going to examine. And before we go too far, I also want to point out in the west, things get active too as the jet then comes back on shore, and that brings the potential for an atmospheric river event. Let's take a look at the surface and break all this down in more detail. We'll start here with a look at our futurecast, get an idea of what's happening closer to the ground. And as we begin the week, our weather will be reasonably quiet. There may be some lake effect snow in the northeast out here, some rain in the southeast, even a little bit of rain in the southwest helping with those wildfires, but no big events. However, as we move this forward into Wednesday the 29th, the first thing that shows up that may be somewhat impactful here is the chance for snow in the northeastern U.S. We're going to take a look at how much falls in just a moment, because there's something else we need to look at happens as well on Wednesday the 29th. And if we take a look at the south central U.S., you're beginning to see showers and storms as well as snow showers pop up across places like Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, even Kansas. And this will be one of our bigger events as that bowling ball, as we call it, begins to cut through the south central U.S. We'll move this into Thursday as well. You see that rain really beginning to blow up. That's the potential for some severe weather, and snow is possible as well on the northwest side, though you're not seeing too much on this model here. We are going to take a look at the potential concurrently in that same part of the country. But I want to take a look at why severe weather is even possible here. We saw there's a lot of wind energy thanks to the jet stream, but we also have some instability. If I move this forward, you're going to begin to see some of those gray and blue colors up into Texas, and that is what you need along with the wind energy to produce severe weather. This is more so Wednesday night into Thursday, and you can see this does fade pretty fast, but there is the potential, at least for some severe weather, I believe, in broadly Texas into, we'll call it Louisiana, even Arkansas, even southwestern Missouri have a chance, as there will be some energy to produce storms. We can take a look too at some of our threats from the Storm Prediction Center. This is their forecast, and as you can see for Wednesday, they're expecting a severe weather threat for at least the central part of Texas, but again, this may be a little bit wider. And then as we move this into Thursday as well, you're going to see that threat does expand a little bit. What I'll mention right now is it looks more like a wind threat to me, but I wouldn't be surprised if on the southern end of this, there is tornado potential, including cities like Waco, Austin, San Antonio, and that wind threat may ultimately extend a bit farther to the north and east, but it does lose steam as instability lessens as well. So that's what we're looking at in terms of severe storms, but let's take a look at the snow chance too in the northeast and in this system as well. Taking a look at that snow chance in our south central system, you're seeing the potential for snowfall across New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, even Colorado, but most of that stays confined to some of the mountains out here in New Mexico, where we could see as much as 6 inches. into the northwestern corner of Texas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, even southwestern Kansas, I would expect somewhere on the order of 1 inch to 3 inches of snow, but there still is the potential for there to be up to 6, depending on how this storm system evolves. And this is something you'll want to check back on as we update you going into the week here. But that is an area that we're watching for snow. We also have the snow potential in the northeast. And as we head into Wednesday, you're going to notice that snow begins to show up across New England. And by the way, you can see what I mentioned before, that lake effect snow playing a bigger role in upstate New York. But as we move into Wednesday, here's your snowfall forecast for New England and for upstate New York as well. A little extra moisture off the lakes out there brings somewhere on the order of what may be about 3 to 6 inches. Definitely some localized higher totals, and into the Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Vermont area, Connecticut. The rest of New England out here is likely to see something on the order of 1 to 3, but there may be some pockets closer to 6, again, in the elevation. Not the biggest snow, but Wednesday will be impacted for sure. Once that's out, it gets very cold and drier out there too. Now look at the back end of the week and the upcoming weekend. There are a couple things we need to watch, including that system in the south central U.S. as that wave of energy begins to merge with the jets in the north. We'll have to watch the potential for a winter storm somewhere in the Midwest and Northeast. This would be Friday into Saturday, most likely. There's no guarantee it forms. It really depends on how much moisture we can lift northwards, but that is something I'm watching. Also, the chance for some heavy rain. This is very likely in the southeast as we move from Friday into Saturday too. And then on the other side of the country, we have our potential atmospheric river event. This actually seems pretty likely, but whether it ends up closer to Oregon or in California is something that we have yet to determine. And again, you'll want to check back for updates on that. But this will bring a significant amount of rain and snow somewhere in that portion of the region. That would mainly be your Saturday through Monday this week. And we can get a rough estimate on how much snow and rain may fall. This is really for the entire week here. You can see it does favor those mountains for quite a bit of snow. I mean, we're talking feet of snow in those mountains out there. But more importantly, over the course of this week, rainfall is going to be a big factor in our weather. Anything you're seeing shaded in red here, that's 2 to 4 inches of rain. A lot of that from the storms that will be weakening and moving eastwards. You can see that across the southeastern U.S. So there may be some flooding out there for sure. And also there is the very high chance for flooding in the northwestern U.S. as that atmospheric river comes ashore this upcoming weekend. So once again, we don't have the details on this part of the forecast, but there will be impactful storms that we'll be tracking and updating you on later on. We're going to wrap up this video with a look at some wild temperature swings this week, and because our weather patterns are so active, we'll be going from well above average to well below average in spots in several day periods. So if you take a look at our map here, those red colors indicate the warmer than average temps, blues indicate colder than average. As we begin the week, that bowling ball in the southwest is going to keep things colder. We have milder temps in the north central U.S., but that's all going to change very quickly as we head into the middle of the week, and we talk about Arctic air that's going to settle in the northeast. Meanwhile, it's going to warm up a lot in the central U.S. That's part of the reason we have the chance for some severe storms out there. But things will shift again as we get later into the week and the upcoming weekend. Those warmer temperatures in the central U.S. begin to move farther east. We are going to see generally a warm end to January and beginning to February. That's a huge chunk of the country as we get into February 1st and 2nd. That'll be mild. But then we have our next shot of cold air diving in to replace it. And I expect as we get into the first week of February, colder temperatures will take over at least a portion of the northern U.S. And exactly how warm this weather is able to last is yet to be seen, but we are going to see overall a lot of temperature swings heading into February, and that's going to keep our storm threats higher as well. So don't get too used to any one pattern, but this week, if anything, be prepared for milder temps in the central U.S. and much colder temps in the southwest and northeast. So with that, we'll wrap up our video, and it does look like February is going to be an active one for weather, so I'm excited to get in and forecast for you guys what's coming up. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and be sure to check back for updates, as there will certainly be changes to this forecast as we get into what will be a very active week ahead of us and start to February.